It's a beautiful day out, as you can see. I'm out at South Mountain, where public access is always free, but for some of our state parks, it's a little more than it was a year ago. There is still potential for even higher prices if international conflicts continue. In Phoenix, Tyler Mitchell, Cronkite News. Good afternoon, Arizona. Today I'll be updating you on a few schools that are dealing with extreme budget cuts or even school closures. Today at the Capitol, Women's for Gun Rights held a press conference with state lawmakers to discuss 3 bills regarding the Second Amendment. I talked to the superintendent to understand what happens next, and is this closure just the beginning? While Artemis II will send astronauts around the moon, connections to missions like this are happening right here in Arizona through training, research, and next generation of scientists.
Kelsey Young, who was in Mission Control, first time ever a scientist has had a seat in Mission Control, she's an ASU grad.
Kelsey Young is not in space, but she is the lead scientist in Mission Control for Artemis II. But that is not where the Arizona connection ends.
And all of the astronauts that just flew around the moon had some training from ASU faculty in how to think about geology.
ASU professor Lori Leshin was a former director of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and says Arizona is critical to space research.
We've been training astronauts here on some of our more moon-like landscapes since back in the Apollo days.
It is not just Arizona's landscape, but our technology helping the mission as well.
I have a bunch of students who, in particular, work there in the group that develops the superconducting detectors that are used for receiving the optical signals from Artemis.
Artemis II astronauts have taken unique photos from the furthest point in space humans have ever gone. They've tested life support systems, deep space navigation, and communications to prepare for future exploration.
It is really our first steps back to landing on the moon again, to setting up a base on the moon, and to having a permanent human presence on another world. We're literally becoming a multi-planet species. With Artemis II, we are paving the way for that.
The walls around the school carry messages of their past mission, helping students navigate a new language in a new country to later pursue higher levels of education. At the board meeting, one of the Alhambra parents said,
"At our last public hearing on school closures, we heard from former Proud students from Valencia, who are now studying at Brophy and ASU. That is proof of Valencia's success."
The Valencia Newcomer School has helped many different immigrant and refugee families in search of education for their children.
You cannot serve in this community and not intersect with the Valencia Newcomer School. You cannot not know about them. Like they just, they're a shining star.
But this shining star is dimming, as the Valencia Newcomer School is experiencing decreased enrollment rates and fewer families in the neighborhood.
The data was showing that if we kept it open longer, it was not going to be good for the district financially. But then I know the community, just neighboring schools, they have such a strong impact, and so we had to balance that decision very carefully.
By the end of this school year, the Valencia Newcomer School will be no more, but any resources regarding immigrant and refugee communities will be located at the newly consolidated Choice Learning Academy and Westwood Elementary campus.
We're not going anywhere. It's going to look a little bit different, but we need it to look a little bit different in order to adjust to the amount of students that we have at the current moment.
Valencia will finish the rest of this school year. Some faculty members still have full functioning classrooms, while others have already packed up to move on. In Phoenix, Tyler Mitchell, Cronkite News. PE teacher Valerie Johnson at Brunson Lee Elementary School says she loves shaping the next generation of leaders. But now she could lose that opportunity.
It is a big concern. You know, if I was to sit here and say it's all roses, you know, I would be a lie. You know, every day I wake up and I'm like, is the day that, you know, I no longer have a job. You know, and it's not just for me. You know, I'm sure that there are other teachers in the district who feel the same way.
The district's governing board decided to close one of the schools in the district, but the uncertainty of which one has community members concerned.
The options that are included are either close a school or reduce in staffing by a great deal.
With a combination of decreased enrollment rates and a shortfall of $3 million, the Balch School District has been presented with very tough choices to make.
Now our next steps is really to wrestle with what school, and more than just which school, but like what are we gonna do with that building? And how do we still serve our communities?
Despite the current events, community members say their main goal is to continue putting the children first.
If we don't do our jobs, if we don't do what is best and what is right for students, then we have failed. We have failed them.
In the next coming weeks, they are expected to make a final decision. In Phoenix, Tyler Mitchell, Cronkite News.